Welcome to this special edition of the AmeriCorps Connections podcast. I'm Nikki Fiacco, the host of the AmeriCorps Connections podcast. I'm excited to share a special partnership with 250&Beyond, Our American Story, to share a series of short stories from AmeriCorps alums about what service looks like in their communities today. These voices help amplify the spirit of service and remind us that across this country, people continue to show up for one another each and every day. So what is 250&Beyond? 250&Beyond, Our American Story is a national initiative dedicated to making service to others visible and valued in all its forms. By reflecting on our nation's history and elevating stories today to inspire the future, we aim to realize a vision of a nation united through service. Led by a coalition of leading service organizations, 250&Beyond is a call to action, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and inspiring the future, helping us respect our differences and transcend our divisions. For all of those national service and AmeriCorps members out there, let's keep getting things done. I hope you enjoyed this series. Addie, thank you so much for being part of this 250&Beyond experience that we're having here. And I was excited to see that you were on the docket for recording. Let's talk about what service looks like in your community. Obviously, you're an AmeriCorps alum, and I know you're a city year, and we all know the cheer. We don't have time for that this time. But folks, if you're interested in watching the whole interview, we'll make sure we have links in the show notes. But Addie, we're talking about 250&Beyond, and our country was really founded on service. So let's talk about what service means to you and what you're up to now. Let's start off with, where the heck are you in the United States?
For sure. Right now, I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I moved here to serve from Connecticut, and I stuck around because I love the city and I love the community here. Jumping into a new time zone, region of the country, all of it, it was very much a leap of faith. I didn't know anyone here, had no prospects. When I applied to AmeriCorps, they had a list of cities, and I picked the bottom one that said, send me anywhere. And what I found is that Milwaukee is a city that is entirely built on community. You look back at the history of Milwaukee, back in the 50s and 60s, Father James Groppe, a white minister, was leading a lot of racial integration protests. And you look through the government of Milwaukee, you look through each of the neighborhoods' histories, and that as far as a city goes, it's a city that has always built each other up in shared surplus. I'm glad that I served in city year. A lot of the things that you do when you're not in the classroom is what free events are going on, because I can't afford a show. So in city year, working on the most diverse team that I've ever been a part of, we were able to do coat drives, food pantries. We were teaming up with different volunteer organizations across the city. I was doing AIDS runs. I was doing jacket drives for firemen. Each of those times, even though it was labor uncompensated, that my HR brain says, who would want to do that? It's very much it feeds your soul, because throughout our lives, we will have highs and lows. We will have excess, and we will have a shortage of anything. And with those ebbs and flows, you're still human, and each of the humans around you go through those same ebbs and flows. And how great would it be if when you're down, you're not out? You have people there with you. And a way that I saw that in my service was City Year. Each year, MLK Day, National Day of Service, City Year Milwaukee would go out and beautify a school, throw up a bunch of murals on the walls, make a bunch of benches, and make it a fun place to be. And during that time, I had a really nice camera. So I volunteered saying, hey, I'll take pictures of the day. And I was given the extra task of, since we just updated the lookbook for all the murals, I had to go around and take multiple pictures of every mural that we did. It was a beyond 12-hour day for me. And I remember I had to wait for everyone to finish their murals before I could take pictures. So I was in an empty building, just walking around, exhausted. There was no one around really. And I was going through the 4 floors of this giant high school in Milwaukee. And I broke down. I just laid down there on the ground, back on the tile, just looking up the ceiling, just crying a little bit because I was just so tired. I had been working over 12 hours doing something for pretty much no money that had little to no value on the work that we actually do here. And the only thing that was in my mind was, what is the point of doing this? And it was at that point where someone that was on staff, Sinclair, he served on City of Milwaukee a couple of years before me. But I didn't really know him at the time. And he walked around, he saw me, and he was like, okay, Addie, we got to get you up and going. Come on, let's rally. Let's do it. And in that moment, that was the cheerleader that I needed. I felt empty. And through someone else's service, I felt whole. And, I grew up on Mr. Rogers, and one of the famous quotes he has is, whenever there's something bad happening, look for the helpers. And as more time goes on, unless you're being very intentional about stopping it, communities get insular. And it's easy to forget about the strife of others, but also not share the strife that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
What I enjoyed about looking for the helpers is you don't have to be down and out to give help, and you don't have to be down and out to receive help. The way that I like to carry that legacy of service is when I see other people that are flat on their back crying because they're tired of taking pictures, I want to be Sinclair, and I want to reach out and share the excess I have, whether that be energy, skills, resources, or just someone to listen. That reprieve is magic. That reprieve, your humanity is connected to someone else, and you know that there's less suffering in the world because of it. Things that I do to continue to serve my community. I am a jazz musician. I've been playing jazz guitar for 25 years. And one of the ways that I like to serve my community is teach lessons. I have a quarter century of knowledge built up under my fingertips on this instrument. I want to usher other people into that community. One of the things I enjoy working with my students, similar to the students I worked with in AmeriCorps, is as adults, we forget that it's okay to be bad at something. Children, everything is new for the first time, and they're not afraid to go through that struggle of learning. And adults, they want everything just like that. As an HR rep, I need to do an entire manager training within half an hour, and it needs to be immediately relevant and actionable. Otherwise, it's just going to fall out of their minds. And adults learning a new skill, you get immediately discouraged, because I've been playing guitar for 25 years. I'm confident in that. I can't play flute for my life. I don't even know how that instrument works. Even though I have all this music knowledge, because that's something that's so foreign to me, it's intimidating, and I'm afraid to start it. When I'm working with my students, both on the bandstand and in the classroom, I'm able to tell them it's okay to struggle at this. Those are words that I think I, as an adult, need to hear more often. The more that I serve and help out communities, whether sometimes it's so small as you see the grocery cart not in the carousel. I have a giant truck. So when there's giant weather storms around here, 30 to 50 mile per hour winds dropping trees, I'm in the truck. It takes no money and very little energy from me to tie fallen trees to the back of my truck and move that. It's fun to move trees with your truck. And other drivers on the road, they're like, okay, gotta avoid the tree. I have somewhere to be. But when you move that tree, because you have a giant truck, you're giving something to the community when the other systems in place, like public works, aren't serving in the capacity that that person needs at that moment.
I love it. Yeah. You said so much there. I want you to circle back around with your students. The idea of supporting them on it's okay. You're learning. We're all learners. We all have these things. And I think in a world where you should be able to read one book or listen to one YouTube or see one TikTok or whatever, and then you should be able to do the dance. Everybody does the thing. Well, we don't realize that they rehearsed it. Something that's important is to bring back that tenderness and that connection of with kids for sure, but also with adults to be like, number one, it's okay to try something new, no matter where you are or what age you are. Shit, if you want to start a podcast, you know what the hell you're doing. Start a podcast. People are going to help you. And so I think that if you want to open up there a little bit about maybe some of the aha moments that you've seen with your students where somebody has been and like my kids played the flute, and quite frankly, if I hear that noise again, I am going to rip. I don't know. That's wallpaper. Rip that wallpaper.
That's fair.
So I think it's important if you want to just breathe through what that means, where you're working with students that they may or may not even be committed to this instrument. They may or may not be committed to jazz. They may just be doing this because their mom wants or their parents want them to do an after school thing, and this is what they're doing. How do you find that space for them to, what we used to say in yoga was fail flamboyantly. Like if you're going to fall out of a position, fall and let everybody know that you're falling. I am falling out of tree pose. This is what I'm doing. And allowing that space for us to remember when we used to walk through the forest barefooted and we used to feel the vibe of the earth and the sky. And I don't know about you, but we got this weird snow. It was 70 yesterday. Snow on the roofs.
Yeah.
Show everybody.
Snow. Yeah. 2 days before it was 60 degrees.
So anyways, that space of, I think that's a really tender sort of space of working with the kids. Tell us a little bit about what that means and how that's opened up for you.
For sure. Even as an adult that's been playing shows forever, I get stage fright. I'm really good and I still get stage fright. Every time I get ready for downbeat, there's still that child within me that is like, if I mess up, everyone is going to see, know, and judge. And it's one thing to be on a stage and you have to play all the right notes. But then baseball, you can only hit a third of the pitches that come your way, and you could be one of the best hitters in all of baseball history. So something that I enjoy about teaching is twice a year we have recitals, where there's a church down the street from where we're doing lessons, and there's the Christmas recital, and then there's the other one. And it is just awful. You go up there, and it's a kid plunking away at the piano, or a kid just squeaking a voice into the microphone. And you go to a few like Def Leppard shows, that's going to be lackluster. But I think back to the Beatles and Malcolm Gladwell's book of 10,000 Hours, like The Tipping Point. And I have my own reservations about pop psychology, but I think a lot about the Beatles' 10,000 Hours. And hour one probably sounded a lot like my students performing. And they know that what they're playing doesn't sound like the Beatles. But I enjoy being able to use my position as serving these kids, being like, this is amazing. You have learned this instrument far further than a lot of people have before they gave up and quit. There are adults that cannot do what you're doing because you had the perseverance to keep going, push past those plateaus, and become the player you want to be. No one has a good gig when they're 10 years old, but having a lot of gigs at 10 years old makes the gigs at 12 years old better. And then those make the gigs at 15 years old better. Or you could be normal and not gig before before you become a teenager. But what I don't know, but this I have a kid. I got a 5-year-old kid, and she is my life. She is the most gorgeous kid of all time. And when I see my students struggling, it reminds me of, okay, what does my daughter need to hear? What did my city year kids need to hear at that time? How can I give in this moment? Jumpstart me again. Got me being like,
No, because I get super emotional, right? When you're, along the kids line. My daughter plays soccer. You know that. You've known me for quite some time now. And
it's
seeing
been
her
years now. Oh my God.
She's my best friends now.
Holy shit.
When I would see her on the field and I would see something happen, there were several moments. There was the missed penalty kick. There was the weird call where somebody was offsides and it was a winning goal for a state championship, but it was called back and they end up losing. And there's so much of me that wants to run down on the field and just be like, what the fuck? Like, do you understand what you're doing to this child? She's worked so hard for this. And I think what you're speaking about is that all you want to do to what you want to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but at those moments, especially when you bring it back to your child, because you're like, oh my God, if my child was trying to do the guitar or whatever, and she was struggling, all I would want her to know is, of course you're going to struggle, of course, right? And I love that you brought up the 1,000 reps, like 10,000 reps. And I like that you push back on that, because I think that there was this 80s, 90s, early 2000 motto of do the thing, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. I think there's some truth to that, but I also feel like we have moved into a space of grace. If we're going to do 10,000 hours, the first 7,000 hours are going to suck. And probably the last 100 hours are going to be great. But I'm going to suck for all those other periods of time. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like what you're saying is that surround yourself with people that want to be there for those 10,000 minus 500. So 9,500 hours. 9,500. Did I do that? Right? But did I put words in your mouth?
I've got one more poignant thing to add on.
Okay, do that. Do it.
I'm a 90s kid. In the past 30 years, I have seen people be absolutely divided over completely manufactured differences. There is a lot of cultural infighting in the US right now, and I don't want to say that correlation is causation, but I see that increase as the number of exiting alumni decrease. I am a white trans woman, Jewish, heavily tattooed. I was one of maybe 3 white people at the school that I worked at. There is rarely someone that shares my intersections or knows someone that shares my intersections. And I was placed into this place where everyone is dissimilar from me. We've all heard cultural lies about the other group. Now what? And when you're in that moment of service, there's no time or room for that cultural noise. You don't get to be in the trenches with someone, look at the shoes that they're walking through the trenches in and be like, I don't want this guy watching my 6. One of the closest friends that I made at that time was someone that completely dissimilar from me, coming from the hills of Appalachia over Pennsylvania. And he had his own upbringing where he was told certain things about people like me. And I had my own upbringing where I was told certain things about people like him. But through service, it became less about this person is different from me in these immutable ways. It became this person chooses to be like me in the way that matters, helping everyone around us. And like, whenever it happens in like politics, when people work across the aisle, amazing things happen. When you're serving and you're focusing on the service, you're able to transcend all of the isms and cultural noise that plague our communities and ourselves, and really helps heal the world.
Mic drop.
Yep, mic drop.